Welcome back, everybody. Derek Sue, your East Oakland advocate. Hey, times are getting tough. Entertainment is very expensive, but I wanted to let you know about some cheap entertainment. Doesn't cost hardly anything, and it's always different. The entertainment's always different. What am I talking about? I'm talking about your local boat launch ramp. So, if you know anything about boating, if you ever launched a boat, it can be a chore and a lot of things can go wrong very quickly. Or there can be a very big log jam at the ramp if you have a lot of inexperienced people or people making a multitude of mistakes. And then sometimes some people just get so excited they forget to put the parking brakes on the vehicle, the tow vehicle, and everything rolls into the water. So I've seen a lot of stuff at the boat ramps over the year, but I tell people, hey, when times get tough and you want to be outdoors, but you don't necessarily want to do anything, but you want some entertainment. Well, this is kind of like throwing a fishing rod in the water and watching the entertainment at the dock because it can get real interesting. And I'm talking about not only the newbie boater, but also seasoned Coast Guard officers having difficulty just backing a trailer down a ramp and then causing a huge log jam at the boat ramp. But anyway, um, some of the things that I tell people, well, figure out which boat ramp that you want to go to. The best ones are at a freshwater lake. The most entertaining one that I've ever had was at Lake Sonoma because uh, the launch ramp you can go 5 wide, but uh, the inexperienced people, inexperienced and newbies, tend to launch their boat right next to the dock, and the dock space is very limited. Typically, no more than 100 feet, and so they tend to put their boat in, really close in, and then tie up the whole dock because they refuse to, once they get the boat floating, to pull it to the end of the dock or around the corner of the piling so that other boats can launch. And so the log jam. And then the most fun are those that kind of go through their prep or get so excited and they get the boat in the water and they pull the boat and or the trailer and truck up the ramp, and then somebody starts screaming, "Hey, we forgot to put the drain plug in because the boat's sinking. The boat's taking on water." And so now that sorry soul who just pulled the trailer and truck up to the parking lot has to run back up there and try and get before the boat sinks there at the dock. So that's always real entertaining too. And so the other one, the youngsters who always have to have the fastest boats or the coolest water toys. If they get them in the water, and then the worst thing that can happen, it doesn't start. And the reason why it doesn't start is because it could be a multitude of things. Because number one, they have old fuel. They have not they didn't check the oil. They actually didn't check the vessel before putting it in the water, making sure it runs okay, it's not overheating, not having any issues. And my stepson, when we had our first boat, the Sea Ray, it was a fast boat, and he was talking about putting all sorts of exhaust systems and hopping up the engine. I said, no, the boat's not for that. The boat your mother and I bought this for water skiing, for water sports, do some dirt camping at Lake Sonoma. No, we're not going to be modifying. And then he's talking about it. And I finally told him, I said, there's a reason why I don't like doing modifications on a recreational vessel like this boat, because it makes it very unreliable. And the kids just love to hop up boats and everything, put big engines, blowers, and make a racket out there on the lake. And that's not what I wanted to do. I want to be able to put the boat in the water, put the key in the ignition, turn it, and the boat starts up. And I can't tell you how many times that we get to the water. It doesn't matter, salt water, fresh water. People don't maintain their vessels, their boats, their watercrafts, jet skis, whatever. And then they get down to the water and then it just doesn't start. And then at the same time, while they're trying to figure out why it's not starting, they're causing a log jam there once again at the dock. Then we have the very enthusiastic boater who this actually happened at Lake Sonoma. It was a family, husband, wife, and a child. Must have been, it was midday. We were pulling out. It was on a Sunday. And fella forgot to put the parking brakes on his truck. So left the door. He did close the door, fortunately. But the thing was, this is a stick shift. He left it in neutral, jumped out, didn't set the parking brake, and the moment he opened the door and took his foot off the brake and hopped out, start rolling into the lake. And I was already out of the water. My boat was on the trailer on my 3/4 ton diesel, and we were partially up the ramp. And then we hear all this screaming and commotion. I look back, I see this small Nissan pickup truck with the trailer and boat floating in the lake, and then the mother and child screaming, and child's crying, and dad's trying to grab the bumper of the boat to keep it from going deeper into the lake. And so anyway, they managed to get that, and we got it pulled partially back, but we couldn't hold it because the boat's floating on a trailer and it's dragging everything out into the water. And so we had 4 people there, and I just said, anybody got a tow cable, tow rope, tow strap? And so one person ran and got that, and I said, I'm going to swing around with my truck, and we'll pull that right out of there. And then I said, where are you going to drop your boat? I said, I don't need to drop the boat. I've got a diesel. This diesel truck will handle everything. He said, oh man, you're going to blow the transmission. No. I said, this is a truck. And so with my 8,500 pound boat sitting on a trailer, so I'm just short of 10,000 pounds behind me, my diesel 3/4 ton, I point it nose down towards the lake. They put all the straps on there. I literally pushed nearly 10,000 pounds of boat and trailer back up the hill in reverse with my truck, and at the same time pulling out a Nissan not a Pathfinder, but it was the Nissan pickup truck, kind of like the Ranger truck at the time, along with a little, I think it was a 14 or 16 foot aluminum boat on single axle trailer. So I pulled everything out of the water, pulled that boat and trailer completely out of the water. And just as I had got everything out, that's when rescue, fire, the Rangers, and local law enforcement showed up and we got everything unhooked and everything. It was good being thanked by the rescue team, also checking on the mother and the child, making sure they're okay. They're pretty freaked out, but no harm, no foul. Dad, Dad's got a problem now because the vehicle sucked water into the engine, so the truck's not going to be running anymore, and that kind of ruined the Sunday um, outing on the lake for them. But I demonstrated to an entire boat ramp of boaters how valuable a diesel truck uh, can be, and we're very professional about. My wife and I are very professional. When you have a boat that big and everything, you have to do things very differently, and loading and unloading is much easier when you have a two-person team that knows what to do and executes it properly. And typically, once my boat hits the boat ramp, I try and be in and out of the ramp in under 10 minutes. Uh, the boat is all prepped prior to the swing around, the turnaround to line up to go in the water. I usually had my wife. She took the helm of the boat, and as soon as the back end of the boat hit the water, she's dropping the outdrive into the water. And as soon as the water hits a certain point on the trailer, she hits that ignition and fires it up. And then I give the thumbs up. She backs the boat right off the trailer. And then we do the same thing, just the opposite when we load. And we were a show for everybody on how to do things right with a vessel. And we see people struggling with a little aluminum rowboat, and then here we are with a 2600 or 26-foot express cruiser, and looking very professional. And we always seem to get a crowd and an applause from the boat ramp boaters there, because we were so professional looking, and we did things in a very orderly fashion. And so anyway, like I said, the biggest thing, we usually, as soon as we came out of the water, I pulled the boat safely up the ramp so that we weren't in anybody's way who was trying to come out or go into the water. Remove the drain plug, let things drain, and then we moved. But there are good boaters and then bad boaters. Good boaters don't clog up the boat ramp, but then there's issues with equipment sometimes. And let me tell you, I've seen some incredible stuff at the boat ramps. Some people have a different way of loading a boat that is unique and not safe, but unique. But one of the things I do want to say about boats: be safe. Have the proper safety gear, life jackets, uh, flares, uh, medical kit in the event of emergencies. So there are a lot of things that are needed for boating safely. I was an officer for United States Power Squadron and Power and Sail Squadron. Uh, and I was a safety officer. I inspected boats, made sure that safety equipment was on board, and the boats were operated in a safe manner. There were times when we did some work out on the bay, and then sometimes on lakes, for events, and we were just kind of the safety marshals. And it's work, and very responsible work. But there was in 1998, one of my first years that I was actually boating and water skiing on Lake Sonoma. There was a a boating accident late in the afternoon, just as we were starting to come off the lake. Um, uh, Two youngsters, actually from Oakland, were also up at Lake Sonoma, and they had spent years building this power boat, and it was a high-speed boat, but it. Let me tell you, folks, there's a certain amount of pressure uh, that a hull can withstand, and that pressure comes from speed, and uh, the youngsters tend to overpower the hull, and in this case, that's what happened to this particular boat, and a little bit of chop on the lake, and what ended up happening, this boat was moving so fast. He was moving nearly 70, they estimated, and the boat just literally hit a wave and exploded into shrapnel. I was one of the first boats on scene to recover what I could for the families, and it was a horrible scene. And my wife was um, never the same after that, because once you've seen a person, a body that badly cut up and mangled, it doesn't leave you early. It doesn't leave you, and especially if you're not used to seeing stuff like that. And these were only 27-year-olds that lost their life while boating, and they literally overpowered the hull. And how I knew about them being from Oakland was because my Sea Ray dealer right here in Oakland at the time, they were customers of that Sea Ray outlet, and also had their boat service right there at the Sea Ray Center. But then when the boat exploded, like I said, there was literally nothing left. There are parts that sank to the bottom of the lake and are not recoverable because of the depth of the lake. But all of the major components were recovered and removed from the lake. But anyway, back to entertainment. There's all sorts of things that happen at the lake. Those are just a few of the examples that I've come across at the lake. And then sometimes I put on a show right here at the Grand Street launch ramp in Alameda when I was launching the boat. And then sometimes, it gets a little slippery there because you come in and tide's gone out and you have to go further down the ramp, which puts you into the algae mess, the slippery part. But if you know what you're doing and you don't have four-wheel drive, it can be pretty interesting for the show, because there was one time I was so far down the ramp and my tires on my two-wheel drive diesel, and I didn't have the locking axle, but it was a 373, and so anyway, what you do to make up for that shortage, you wind up the engine. You keep the brakes on, you wind up the engine, get it up to about 1200, 1500 RPMs, start letting off the brake, get forward motion, but you hold the brake, and that keeps both of the rear wheels locked and on traction, and so they pull evenly, and that way you don't go sliding backwards or sideways or diagonally on the ramp, and that's how I did it. There were so many people, oh man, you're in trouble now. You're going to go right off that ramp and you're going to slide in the water. I said, watch this, and I just put it all the way down into my low gear and kept the foot on the brake, revved up the engine. Actually, I peaked out my RPMs at 2,000 to make sure I had plenty of forward thrust, and evenly distributed between both of my rear wheels, and I went straight right up that ramp without any problems. And again, uh, there was like 30 people right there watching the entertainment, because there's a lot of boats that didn't that had trouble coming out because the drivers and the operators didn't know what they're doing. I was one of the few that did. I got an applause thumbs up, and yeah, it's always a great feeling. And then the same thing when you dock at a restaurant on the water. People are always watching, see if you crash your boat into the dock, because a lot of people do. And I gently, come in. We have the fenders out, and I just gently touch the docks all the time, and so people see, okay, he knows what he's doing. I can actually steer a single engine out drive boat in a full circle without moving, uh, veering off much more than 12 inches in that circle. So I'm a very good boat captain. I can drive single engine and twin engine. So never doubt a good boater and a safe boater. But again, this summer, if things get tight, go find a boat launch ramp. I highly recommend Lake Sonoma, because then you can also fish there. Grand Street here in Alameda is another fun boat ramp to watch. San Leandro, not so much. That one's kind of quiet out there at the San Leandro Marina, but Berkeley, that one is entertaining out there at the Berkeley Marina. So find a place to go, set up a lawn chair, an umbrella or shade of some form. Bring a good box lunch, some good drinks, and prepare for some laughs and some chuckles. Thanks for joining me today. Go have fun.